everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I am back with another graphics pack, though this one in terms of models is more focused on males. Well, it's entirely male slash boy models. There are no female models in this pack, but just because you don't want the models doesn't mean there isn't any purpose in having this for yourself. So I just want to point out real quickly, I'll be using Adobe Photoshop to show you how to use this pack and some of the things that can be found inside of it. But if you don't own Photoshop, that's completely understandable because it is a paid software and it isn't a cheap one at that. So instead you can use Photopea. Photopea is completely free to use and it offers much of the same functionality as Photoshop. Some of the things I will do in Photoshop you won't be able to do in Photopea. Maybe that's some of the hotkeys, or that is just dragging stuff between files easily. Instead, you can use the marquee tool, marquee over the entire thing, and then copy and then paste it in the new file. And also make sure you do not have advertisements blocked, otherwise this pop-up will show every 10 seconds. I assume it's every 10 seconds or something along those lines because it is non-stop showing up. And if you're actually working on something, that's probably pretty annoying. But other than that, let's get right into working with this pack. So to start out, I'm going to go to the models, and maybe not for these, but for some of the models you will notice they are a little spicy. No, that's not what I wanted to get into. Some of them are larger than frame. I think this one might be one of those. Yep. So I posted these all in, well, as well as including the watermark from whoever actually rendered this. I also put it in at full size that it originally came in. And since this canvas here is only at 2K resolution, but it's not huge, so some of these models do not completely fit into the given canvas space. So just keep that in mind when you're working with them. You can downsize it by going to edit, free transform, and this is going to be the same for Photopea. You might have to hold shift when scaling it down, otherwise it's going to scale unproportionally, and you probably don't want that. So hold shift if need be. And when you actually go to put these into a banner, and I have an example banner right here, you can simply use the lasso tool to lasso around any watermark and then just get rid of it. Then go to your rectangular marquee tool, right click, deselect, and then you can either drag and drop it in or highlight the entire thing and do edit, copy, and then control V it into here. Cool, and then from here you can, I did Control T as a shortcut, but you can free transform as needed to get your character to fit into any banner you might be using. You can flip it along the X or Y axis as you want to really get them to fit in. Okay, that is the characters themselves out the way. Now let's look at particles. Pretty self-explanatory. Some of these, or all of these, have a lighten layer style or layer effect applied to them. This just hides all the black that is below it or any other color and helps isolate the actual content. You can move between lighten and screen. It kind of gives you different effects, different amounts of viewage of the particles. So yep, just jump between those as you want. Icons, pretty self-explanatory as well, just a mix of icons you could potentially use. For example, in this banner in this corner right here where I just highlighted over, I put some icons in this particular style, or you can put the icons inside the banner itself, or honestly whatever you're doing, these icons could probably find some usage. Oh, and for the icons, of course, I should probably mention how you can actually get these off of the clump. You highlight over the particular icon you want, edit, copy, and then when you go to paste it, it's going to be that single little icon itself. Deselect, moving on to various assets, and this is, as the name states, various assets. Just mess around with them as you want. Let's say you have this cloud, you don't like the actual gray stuff around the cloud. You can go into blending options, color overlay, and make it a solid white, or you can give the cloud some kind of aesthetic view. It's really up to you how you want to mess with those. Textures. Textures are also pretty self-explanatory, and here I have an example texture actually. Nope, don't want that. So I put this texture onto this left side here. So that the texture, it's this bland, just blue and pattern. Nothing wrong with that, but it's a little basic. Could use a little more oomph. So I added this texture. It's on a soft light. And the opacity, I didn't touch that, but then I did a right click, clipping mask, to make sure it stays within the boundaries of that particular shape. And now this left side has a little more detail to it that gives it some nice finishing touches. And in high level GFX, typically you will see people stack a bunch of different textures and particles and overlays to make their design or whatever effect they're going for. Patterns, as I just mentioned, these can also be overlaid. And for example, you can do all kinds of stuff with these just to get them to fit whatever design you're going with. And finally, light flares. Kind of like the particles, you can go between screen and lighten. I think difference or exclusion also doesn't look too bad. So kind of mess around with these, see which one works best for your design, and then go from there. And I should note, for a lot of these, much like the texture, you'll probably want to clip it onto a layer or particular shape. If you're doing a wallpaper or you're doing something that fits the entire canvas and isn't isolated to one particular shape, clipping probably isn't as important, but good tool to keep in mind. So yeah, this is more geared to people, well, in terms of models, who want some male models, and I have a ton of those. And when I say male models, this is of course anime focused in that sense. So there isn't any Call of Duty or God of War or anything like that. But I still think this pack can offer a lot of useful stuff, even if you don't want the models themselves. So I hope you find this pack useful. I've got two others. Those have only female models, but again, they have a wide variety of particles, icons, assets, textures, and some even have categories that I don't have in this pack itself. So if you combine them all, you are really set to make really awesome stuff. And I suppose that's really a wrap. Found this helpful, please make sure to like and subscribe, and other than that, I hope you have an awesome day.